Hello there, and welcome to Whispers of Science, where wonder meets tranquility and the most beautiful discoveries of our universe unfold like gentle lullabies. Tonight, we're embarking on a peaceful journey through some of the most elegant and breathtaking scientific theories ever conceived, stories that reveal the hidden poetry written in the language of physics, chemistry, and biology. If you're settling in for the evening, curling up with a warm drink, or simply seeking a moment of calm after a bustling day, you've found the perfect sanctuary. This is where curiosity gets cozy, where complex ideas become soothing melodies, and where the mysteries of existence are told, like bedtime stories for the intellectually curious. Before we drift into our first whisper of scientific beauty, I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from tonight and what draws you to find peace in the wonders of science. There's something magical about discovering that you're not alone in finding comfort in knowledge that across the globe, others too are settling into the night with questions about quarks and dreams of distant galaxies. If this gentle exploration brings you joy or helps you unwind, I'd be ever so grateful if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribed to join our community of peaceful learners, or simply left a comment sharing what scientific wonder fills you with the most awe. Your support helps these whispers reach others who might need a moment of scientific serenity. Now, I do hope this isn't so fascinating that it keeps you awake, but if it does, well, at least you'll drift off, having learned something beautiful about the universe we call home. So take a deep breath, let your shoulders relax, and prepare to be amazed. Because tonight, we're going to discover that science isn't just about equations and experiments. It's about the most profound and gorgeous truths that reality has to offer. Let's begin our journey with something that might sound impossibly grand, yet feels as intimate as your own heartbeat: the elegant universe and its hidden dimensions. Imagine for a moment that everything you see, touch, and experience is just the surface of something far more intricate and beautiful, like seeing only the tip of an iceberg while an entire cathedral of ice lies hidden beneath the waves. This is the essence of string theory, one of the most poetic scientific ideas ever conceived according to this remarkable framework. The fundamental building blocks of reality aren't tiny solid particles, but rather vibrating strings so incredibly small that they exist at a scale where our usual understanding of space and time begins to dissolve like sugar in warm tea. Picture, if you will, a violin string when plucked. It vibrates at different frequencies, producing different musical notes. Now imagine that at the very heart of every electron, every photon, every quark that makes up your body, and everything around you. There are these infinitesimal strings, each vibrating in its own unique pattern. The electron's string hums at one frequency, the photon's at another, creating what physicists poetically call the music of the spheres. But here's where it becomes truly enchanting. These strings don't just vibrate in the three dimensions we know and love. They dance through hidden dimensions, folded so tightly into the fabric of space that we can't perceive them directly. It's as if reality itself is an origami masterpiece, with most of its beauty tucked away in folds too small for our senses to detect. The mathematics suggests there could be as many as 11 dimensions in total, wrapped up in what theorists call a Calabi-Yau manifold. These aren't just abstract mathematical constructs. They're proposed to be real aspects of the space you're sitting in right now, invisible kingdoms of possibility that exist in every point around you. Imagine walking through a garden where every flower, every leaf, every grain of soil contains entire hidden universes of geometric beauty, dimensions curled up so small that billions of them could fit inside a single proton, yet each one potentially infinite in its own intricate way. This is the garden of reality that string theory invites us to contemplate. What makes this theory so captivating isn't just its mathematical elegance, though, that certainly takes your breath away. It's the profound unity it suggests. Picture a grand symphony where every instrument, from the tiniest piccolo to the deepest timpani, is actually the same fundamental string, just played in different ways. String theory whispers that perhaps everything in the universe, electrons, quarks, photons, gravitons, are all expressions of one underlying musical reality. The strong nuclear force that holds atomic nuclei together, the electromagnetic force that powers your devices, the weak nuclear force responsible for certain types of radioactivity, and gravity itself that keeps your feet on the ground. All of these might be different songs, played by the same cosmic orchestra, different harmonies arising from the same fundamental strings. There's something deeply comforting about this idea that beneath all the apparent complexity and chaos of the world, there might be one beautiful, simple truth humming quietly at the foundation of everything. It suggests that the universe isn't a collection of separate, unrelated phenomena, but rather one magnificent composition where every note, every rhythm, every melody is connected to every other. Of course, string theory remains highly theoretical. We don't yet have the technology to directly observe these vibrating strings or probe the hidden dimensions they inhabit. But sometimes, the most beautiful scientific ideas are those that stretch our imagination beyond what we can currently measure, pushing us to dream bigger and think more expansively about the nature of reality as we contemplate these hidden dimensions and vibrating strings. There's something almost meditative about the idea that right now, as you listen to these words, countless tiny strings are humming their cosmic melodies throughout your body, through the air around you, through the device you're listening on, creating the rich tapestry of existence through their eternal dance. Now let's drift from the infinitesimally small to something equally beautiful yet completely different: the gentle mathematics of growth and form in nature. Have you ever wondered why a nautilus shell spirals in such perfect curves? Why sunflower seeds arrange themselves in mesmerizing patterns? Or why your own heartbeat follows rhythms that seem to echo throughout the natural world? There exists a sequence of numbers so fundamental to the structure of life that it appears everywhere, from the branching of trees to the arrangement of petals, from the spiral of galaxies to the proportions of the human body. This is the Fibonacci sequence and its golden ratio, one of the most elegant mathematical discoveries in human history. The sequence begins simply enough: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, each number the sum of the two before it. But as this pattern unfolds, something magical happens when you divide any number in the sequence by the one before it. You approach a special ratio approximately 1.618. This is the golden ratio represented by the Greek letter phi, and it appears to be woven into the very fabric of biological growth. Imagine a sunflower as it develops in the quiet darkness of soil. Its seeds don't arrange themselves randomly. Instead, they follow the Fibonacci spiral, creating the most efficient packing possible: 34 spirals in one direction, 55 in the other, numbers that appear consecutively in our magical sequence. The result is a pattern so beautiful that humans have been captivating by it for millennia. Or consider the humble nautilus as it grows throughout its life. It adds chambers to its shell, each one larger than the last, in perfect golden proportion. The creature doesn't consciously calculate these ratios. It simply follows the deep mathematical logic embedded in its genetic code, creating a spiral that mathematicians call logarithmic, a curve that maintains its shape as it expands, growing ever outward while remaining true to its essential form. Pine cones reveal the same secret, with their scales arranged in spirals that follow Fibonacci numbers. Tree branches split and divide according to these same mathematical principles, and even the double helix of DNA, the very molecule that carries the instructions for life twists in proportions related to the golden ratio. But perhaps most remarkably, these same proportions appear in human anatomy. The ratio of your total height to the distance from your feet to your navel approximates the golden ratio, as does the ratio of your arm length to your forearm. The distance between your knuckles follows Fibonacci proportions, and even the chambers of your heart reflect these same mathematical relationships. What's truly breathtaking about this discovery is how it suggests that mathematics isn't something humans invented to describe the world. Rather, it seems to be the language in which the world writes itself. The Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio appear to be fundamental principles that guide how life organizes and grows, as if nature itself is an artist working with mathematical brushes. There's something profoundly peaceful about realizing that you are walking through a world where every flower, every shell, every tree is following the same beautiful mathematical principles that govern the spiral galaxies spinning in the depths of space. It suggests a deep underlying order, a quiet harmony that connects the smallest seed to the largest cosmic structures. This mathematical beauty doesn't impose itself harshly on the world. Instead, it emerges gently like a melody that arises naturally from the physics of growth and form. When a plant needs to pack its seeds most efficiently, the Fibonacci spiral appears when a shell grows, while maintaining its structural integrity. The golden ratio emerges not because nature is following a rigid blueprint, but because these proportions represent the most elegant solutions to the challenges of existence. As you look around your world tomorrow, you might find yourself noticing these patterns: the spiral in a fern frond unfurling the arrangement of leaves on a stem, the way flower petals organize themselves around their centers, each one a quiet testament to the mathematical poetry that flows through all living things. And there's something wonderfully democratic about this beauty. It doesn't require expensive equipment or advanced degrees to appreciate. You can find Fibonacci spirals in your garden, golden ratios, in the proportions of trees along your street. This mathematical elegance is freely available to anyone willing to look closely at the natural world around them, moving from the mathematics of growth to something equally profound yet different. Let's explore one of the most beautiful and mysterious aspects of our cosmic story: the elegant dance of stellar evolution. Imagine, if you will, that every atom in your body except for hydrogen was forged in the nuclear furnace of a dying star, that the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all came from stellar explosions that occurred billions of years ago. This isn't poetry, though. It certainly sounds like it. This is the remarkable scientific truth of stellar nucleosynthesis, the process by which stars create the elements that make up planets' life and ultimately you. The story begins in the hearts of stars, where temperatures reach tens of millions of degrees and pressures become so intense that atomic nuclei can overcome their natural repulsion and fuse together. In the core of a young star, hydrogen atoms, the simplest element in the universe, begin to merge, forming helium and releasing tremendous amounts of energy. This is the process that makes stars shine, that gentle fusion reaction converting mass into light. According to Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared for millions or billions of years. This steady burning continues the star, living in perfect balance between the inward pull of gravity and the outward pressure of nuclear fusion. But as the hydrogen fuel begins to run low, the star must find new sources of energy. It begins to fuse helium into carbon-carbon, into oxygen, oxygen into silicon, in a cascade of nuclear reactions that build heavier and heavier elements. Each stage of fusion requires higher temperatures and pressures pushing the star to ever greater extremes. For stars like our Sun, this journey ends relatively peacefully. When the fuel runs out, the outer layers gently drift away, forming what astronomers call a planetary nebula, leaving behind a white dwarf that will slowly cool over trillions of years. But for the most massive stars, those giants that burn bright and fast, the ending is far more spectacular. When a massive star has fused elements all the way up to iron, something remarkable happens. Iron is the most stable nucleus in nature. It takes energy to fuse iron rather than releasing it. So when the star's core becomes mostly iron, the fusion stops, suddenly catastrophically. The core collapses in less than a second, creating pressures so intense that protons and electrons are crushed together, forming neutrons. Then, in one of the most violent events in the universe, the collapsing core rebounds, sending a shockwave racing outward through the star. This is a supernova explosion, so powerful that for a few weeks, a single dying star can outshine an entire galaxy of 100 billion stars. The explosion hurls the elements forged in the star's interior out into space at speeds of thousands of kilometers per second. But here's where the story becomes truly beautiful. Those scattered elements, the carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron, and dozens of others don't simply disappear into the void. They become the raw materials for new stars, new planets, new possibilities. The supernova enriches the surrounding space with heavy elements, creating what astronomers poetically call stellar nurseries regions, where gravity can gather this enriched material and begin the process of star formation all over again. Our own solar system formed from just such an enriched cloud about 4.5 billion years ago. The heavy elements that had been cooked in the cores of long-dead stars condensed into rocky planets like Earth and eventually into the complex molecules that make life possible. The iron in your hemoglobin was forged in a stellar core. The calcium in your teeth was created in a supernova explosion. The oxygen you're breathing right now was manufactured in the nuclear furnace of a massive star. There's something profoundly moving about this realization that we are quite literally made of star stuff, as Carl Sagan so beautifully put it. Every element in your body heavier than hydrogen has traveled an epic journey from the heart of a dying star through the depths of space to eventually become part of you. This connects us not just to the Earth, but to the entire cosmos in the most intimate possible way, and the story continues even now as you listen to these words. New stars are being born in stellar nurseries throughout our galaxy. Some will burn steadily for billions of years. Others will live fast and die young in spectacular supernovas, each contributing to the ongoing cycle of stellar death and rebirth that has been enriching the universe with heavy elements for over 13 billion years. This cosmic recycling program operates on timescales almost impossible to comprehend, yet it's happening continuously around us. The very atoms that make up your body have likely been through multiple cycles of stellar birth, death, and rebirth before finding their way to you. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through the temporary arrangement of recycled star material. Imagine looking up at the night sky and realizing that you're not just observing distant lights, but seeing the foundries where the elements of your existence were forged. Those twinkling stars are your cosmic ancestors, the massive ones destined to explode and scatter their elemental gifts throughout space. The smaller ones burning steadily, providing the energy that makes complex chemistry possible. There's also something beautifully democratic about stellar nucleosynthesis. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, famous or unknown. The calcium in your bones came from the same cosmic processes as everyone else's. We all share this stellar heritage, this connection to the grand cycles of birth and death that have shaped the universe since shortly after the Big Bang, and perhaps most remarkably, this process is still ongoing. The star formation happening in distant galaxies today will eventually produce the heavy elements that might one day become part of alien worlds, perhaps even alien life forms. The universe is still in the process of enriching itself, still creating the chemical complexity that makes planets and life possible as we contemplate this stellar connection. There's something deeply comforting about realizing that death and destruction in the cosmos aren't endings, but transformations. When a massive star dies in a supernova explosion, it's not a tragedy, but a generous act of cosmic creativity, scattering the elements needed for future generations of stars, planets, and life. This perspective can bring a sense of peace to our own mortality, knowing that the atoms that temporarily form us will continue their journey long after we're gone, returning to the cosmic cycle that connects all things. They might become part of new stars, new worlds, new forms of life carrying forward the ancient heritage of stellar nucleosynthesis into futures we can barely imagine. Moving from the cosmic cycles of stellar death and rebirth, let's turn our attention to something equally profound yet operating on a completely different scale: the elegant molecular machinery that makes life possible. Imagine for a moment that inside every cell of your body there exists a bustling city, more complex and organized than any human metropolis, a place where millions of molecular machines work together with precision that would make the finest Swiss watchmakers weep with envy. This is the world of cellular biochemistry, where proteins fold into impossibly complex shapes with atomic precision, where DNA unzips and copies itself with an error rate lower than the best human editors, and where energy flows through carefully orchestrated chemical pathways that have been refined over billions of years of evolution. At the heart of this molecular ballet lies one of the most beautiful discoveries in all of biology. The structure of DNA, that elegant double helix that carries the instructions for life. When James Watson and Rosalind Franklin first glimpsed the X ray crystallography patterns that revealed DNA's structure, they were seeing something that had been hidden since the dawn of life itself, the molecular secret of heredity. Picture two spiral staircases winding around each other, each step formed by pairs of chemical bases. Adenine always pairing with thymine, guanine always with cytosine. This simple pairing rule creates a molecule that can store information with extraordinary fidelity while also being able to copy itself. The sequence of these base pairs along the DNA molecule forms a four-letter alphabet that writes the instructions for every protein in your body. But DNA is just the beginning of this molecular story. The process by which genetic information flows from DNA to proteins involves a cast of molecular players, each more remarkable than the last messenger. RNA molecules transcribe the genetic code. RNA polymerase enzymes read the DNA like molecular librarians, copying the information with remarkable accuracy. Ribosomes translate the RNA message into proteins, following the genetic code with the precision of master craftsmen. And then there are the proteins themselves, those molecular workhorses that actually carry out most of the functions of life. Some proteins form the structural framework of your cells, like molecular scaffolding. Others act as enzymes, catalyzing the chemical reactions that keep you alive. Still others serve as molecular motors, literally walking along cellular highways, carrying cargo from one part of the cell to another. What makes proteins so remarkable is how their function emerges from their form. Each protein folds into a unique, three-dimensional shape, determined by the sequence of amino acids that make it up. This folding process happens spontaneously, guided by the fundamental forces of chemistry, yet the final shapes are so specific that they can distinguish between molecules that differ by just a single atoms. Consider hemoglobin, the protein in your red blood cells that carries oxygen. Each hemoglobin molecule contains four precisely folded protein chains, each cradling a single iron atom. When oxygen binds to one iron atom, it causes a subtle change in the protein's shape that makes it easier for the other iron atoms to bind oxygen as well. This cooperative binding means that hemoglobin can pick up oxygen efficiently in your lungs and release it readily in your tissues. Or think about the enzymes that break down the food you eat. These molecular machines are so precisely shaped that they can speed up chemical reactions by factors of millions or even billions. They do this not by brute force, but through elegant molecular recognition, binding to their target molecules and stabilizing the transition states that allow reactions to proceed. The beauty of these molecular machines lies not just in their individual elegance, but in how they work together in your cells. Right now, thousands of different proteins are collaborating in metabolic pathways that extract energy from glucose, convert amino acids into new proteins, repair damaged DNA, and respond to signals from other cells. The choreography is so complex that we're still discovering new aspects of it decades after the basic mechanisms were first understood. There's something almost musical about how these molecular systems operate. Each enzyme in a metabolic pathway produces the substrate for the next one, like musicians in an orchestra where each player's contribution builds on what came before. The result is a symphony of chemical transformations that maintains the delicate balance necessary for life. And perhaps, most remarkably, all of this molecular complexity arose through the undirected process of evolution. Random mutations and natural selection over billions of years gradually shaped these molecular machines, refining them, perfecting them, creating systems of breathtaking elegance and efficiency without any conscious designer. This evolutionary perspective adds another layer of beauty to the molecular machinery of life. Every protein in your body represents the solution to a chemical problem that was solved through countless generations of trial and error. The fact that these solutions are so elegant, so efficient, speaks to the power of evolutionary processes to discover optimal designs through purely natural means. As you sit there listening to these words, your cells are carrying out this molecular dance. Millions of proteins are folding into their precise shapes. Enzymes are catalyzing reactions. DNA is being repaired and copied, all with a reliability and efficiency that surpasses anything humans have ever engineered. You are quite literally a walking testament to the creative power of chemistry and evolution working together over deep time. There's something deeply moving about this realization that the most fundamental processes of life operate through what can only be described as molecular love stories. Proteins don't just randomly bump into each other and hope for the best. Instead, they recognize their partners through precise chemical complementarity, like molecular puzzle pieces that have been searching across the crowded cellular landscape for their perfect match. When an enzyme encounters its substrate, there's a moment of recognition that scientists call induced fit. The enzyme actually changes its shape slightly to embrace its molecular partner more perfectly, creating an active site that's tailored specifically for that reaction. It's as if these molecules are dancing together, each one leading the other through the steps of a chemical transformation that's been choreographed over millions of years. This molecular recognition extends throughout your body. Antibodies patrol your bloodstream, each one shaped to recognize a specific foreign invader when they find their target. The fit is so precise that they can distinguish between molecules that are nearly identical. Lock and key doesn't even begin to describe the sophistication of these interactions. It's more like molecular poetry, where every atom matters. Every bond tells part of the story. And then there's the marvel of cellular communication. Imagine billions of cells in your body constantly sending messages to each other, coordinating their activities, like members of a vast orchestra tuning their instruments before a performance. Hormones travel through your bloodstream, carrying chemical messages. Neurotransmitters leap across synapses in your brain, and signaling molecules pass between neighboring cells, creating networks of communication that rival the most sophisticated human technologies. When your blood sugar rises after a meal, specialized cells in your pancreas detect this change and release insulin, which travels throughout your body, instructing cells to take up glucose and store excess energy. The precision of this system is remarkable. Your body maintains blood sugar levels within a narrow range, despite dramatic changes in what you eat, when you exercise, and how you sleep. Your immune system provides perhaps the most stunning example of molecular sophistication. Immune cells can learn to recognize millions of different potential threats, generating antibodies that are specifically tailored to each invader. They encounter some immune cells, even form memories storing information about past infections so they can respond more quickly if they encounter the same threat again. This cellular memory system operates without any conscious control on your part. You don't have to remember every virus you've ever encountered. Your immune cells do that for you, maintaining a molecular library of threats and responses that grows throughout your lifetime. It's as if each cell contains its own tiny computer running programs that have been refined through billions of years of evolution. The more we learn about these cellular systems, the more we realize how much intelligence is embedded in the basic chemistry of life. Not conscious intelligence, of course, but something that looks remarkably like wisdom, encoded in the shapes of molecules and the logic of biochemical pathways. Consider how your body repairs damaged DNA every day. Cosmic rays, chemical reactions, and simple wear and tear cause thousands of breaks and errors in the DNA inside your cells. Yet sophisticated molecular machinery constantly patrols your genetic material, identifying damage and fixing it with remarkable precision. These repair systems are so efficient that most DNA damage is corrected before it can cause problems. Or think about how your cells manage their energy supplies. They don't just burn glucose like a simple fire. Instead, they extract energy through carefully controlled steps, capturing it in the form of ATP molecules that serve as a universal cellular currency. This process is so efficient that it captures about 40% of the chemical energy in glucose. The rest is released as heat that helps maintain your body temperature. There's something profoundly comforting about knowing that this molecular wisdom is operating within you right now. As you listen to these words, millions of molecular machines are working to keep you healthy, to repair damage, to coordinate the countless processes that maintain life. You don't have to think about any of it. You don't have to consciously direct the folding of proteins or the repair of DNA. It all happens automatically guided by the deep intelligence embedded in the chemistry of life. And perhaps most beautifully, these same molecular principles operate in every living thing on Earth. The DNA in a towering redwood tree uses the same genetic code as the DNA in your cells. The proteins in a butterfly's wing fold according to the same physical principles as the proteins in your muscles. The cellular respiration that powers a hummingbird's flight follows the same biochemical pathways that provide energy for your thoughts. This molecular unity of life suggests something profound about our place in the natural world. We're not separate from other living things. We're variations on the same fundamental themes, participants in the same ancient molecular symphony that began billions of years ago in the primordial oceans and continues today in every cell of every organism on the planet. As we drift from the molecular machinery of individual cells, let's expand our view to contemplate something equally beautiful, yet operating on a vastly different scale: the delicate balance that maintains our planet's climate and makes complex life possible. Earth exists in what astronomers call the Goldilocks zone: not too hot, not too cold, but just right for liquid water to exist on its surface. But this habitable zone isn't just about distance from the sun. It's about a complex web of feedback systems that have kept our planet's temperature relatively stable for billions of years, despite dramatic changes in solar output, atmospheric composition, and the arrangement of continents. This is the Gaia hypothesis, the idea that Earth functions as a self regulating system where living organisms and geological processes work together to maintain conditions suitable for life. Imagine our planet as a vast living organism, not literally alive, of course, but behaving as if it were with feedback mechanisms that respond to changes and work to restore balance. When ocean temperatures rise, more water evaporates, forming clouds that reflect sunlight back to space, cooling the planet. When carbon dioxide levels increase, plants grow more vigorously, removing more CO2 from the atmosphere. The carbon cycle provides a beautiful example of this planetary self regulation. Carbon moves through the atmosphere, oceans, and living organisms in a dance that spans timescales from seconds to millions of years. Plants absorb carbon dioxide from the air and use it to build their tissues when they die and decay. That carbon returns to the atmosphere or gets buried in sediments where it can remain locked away for geological ages. Over very long timescales, weathering of rocks provides another carbon regulation mechanism. When the atmosphere contains more CO2, temperatures rise, which accelerates the weathering of silicate rocks. This weathering consumes CO2 from the atmosphere, providing a natural thermostat that has helped keep Earth's temperature within the range where liquid water can exist. The oxygen in our atmosphere tells an even more remarkable story. Early in Earth's history, there was virtually no free oxygen in the atmosphere. Then, about 2.5 billion years ago, cyanobacteria evolved the ability to photosynthesize splitting water molecules and releasing oxygen as a waste product. This great oxidation event was initially catastrophic for most life forms because oxygen was toxic to the anaerobic organisms that dominated the early Earth. But life adapted as it always does. New organisms evolved that could not only tolerate oxygen, but use it for more efficient metabolism. Today, the oxygen concentration in our atmosphere remains remarkably stable at about 21%. This isn't accidental. If oxygen levels were much higher, forests would burn uncontrollably. If they were much lower, large animals couldn't get enough oxygen to support their metabolism. This atmospheric balance is maintained by the interplay between photosynthesis, which produces oxygen, and respiration, which consumes it. Forests and phytoplankton in the oceans act as the planet's lungs, breathing in carbon dioxide and breathing out oxygen, while animals and decomposing organic matter consume oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Water plays its own crucial role in planetary regulation. The water cycle moves moisture from oceans to land and back again, moderating temperatures and distributing heat around the globe. Ocean currents act as a global circulation system, carrying warm water toward the poles and cold water toward the equator. The Gulf Stream, for example, carries warm water from the Caribbean toward Western Europe, making the climate there much milder than it would otherwise be. Clouds provide another layer of climate regulation. Low thick clouds reflect sunlight, cooling the planet, while high thin clouds trap heat, warming it. The balance between these effects helps stabilize global temperatures. Though climate scientists are still working to understand all the complexities of cloud formation and behavior, the magnetic field generated by Earth's molten iron core provides invisible protection from harmful solar radiation. This magnetic shield deflects charged particles from the solar wind, preventing them from stripping away our atmosphere the way they have on Mars, which lost its magnetic field billions of years ago. Even the moon plays a role in maintaining Earth's habitability. Its gravitational pull stabilizes our planet's axial tilt, preventing dramatic climate swings that would make complex life difficult to maintain. The tides caused by the moon's gravity also may have played a crucial role in the evolution of early life, providing energy gradients that primitive organisms could exploit. Plate tectonics. The slow movement of continents across Earth's surface acts as another long term climate regulator. The arrangement of land masses affects ocean circulation patterns, which in turn influence global climate. The carbon cycle is also linked to plate tectonics, as carbon buried in ocean sediments gets recycled through volcanic activity. What makes all these regulatory mechanisms so remarkable is that they operate without any central control. No conscious entity is managing Earth's climate. Instead, these feedback systems arise naturally from the physical and chemical properties of our planet and the life it supports. It's as if Earth has developed its own unconscious wisdom, a planetary intelligence that emerges from the complex interactions between atmosphere, oceans, land, and life. This perspective can be deeply comforting in an age when human activities are disrupting many of these natural cycles. While we're certainly causing unprecedented changes to Earth's climate, the planet has weathered dramatic shifts before ice ages, massive volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts that wiped out entire groups of organisms. Earth's regulatory systems are resilient, though not infinitely so. Understanding these planetary systems also reveals our deep connection to the global environment. Every breath you take connects you to the oxygen cycle. Every meal links you to the carbon and nitrogen cycles. The water in your body has been part of clouds, rivers, and oceans cycling through the Earth system for billions of years. There's something almost mystical about realizing that you're not just living on Earth, you're part of Earth, participating in the same cycles that have sustained life for billions of years. The calcium in your bones came from ancient sea creatures. The nitrogen in your DNA was fixed from the atmosphere by bacteria. The energy that powers your thoughts ultimately came from sunlight captured by plants. As we contemplate these global cycles and planetary regulations, we begin to see that the boundaries we usually draw between ourselves and the natural world are somewhat artificial. We're not separate from Earth's climate and ecosystems. We're embedded within them, participants in the same ancient dance of elements and energy that has been choreographing the story of life for billions of years. This understanding can bring a profound sense of belonging and responsibility. We're not visitors on this planet. We're part of it, woven into the very fabric of its regulatory systems. Our actions matter, not just for our own well-being, but for the continuation of the planetary processes that make complex life possible. And there's something beautiful about the fact that Earth's habitability isn't guaranteed. It's not a fixed property of our planet, but an ongoing creation maintained by the complex interplay of physical, chemical, and biological processes. This makes our existence feel both precious and participatory. We're not just beneficiaries of Earth's life support systems, we're contributors to them. The story of our planet's climate regulation reminds us that stability often emerges from dynamic balance. not from static, unchanging conditions. Earth's temperature, atmospheric composition, and ocean chemistry are constantly changing, but within limits that allow life to flourish. It's a delicate dance that has been going on for billions of years and continues with every breath we take now. Let's turn our attention to something that operates on an even grander scale, yet touches the most intimate aspects of our existence: the profound connection between consciousness and the cosmos, the remarkable fact that the universe has evolved beings capable of understanding and appreciating its own beauty. Consider for a moment the extraordinary journey that led to your ability to contemplate these very words you're hearing right now. 13.8 billion years ago, the universe began as an infinitesimally small point of pure energy and potential. In that first fraction of a second, space itself expanded faster than light could travel, creating the arena in which all future stories would unfold. From that primordial fire came the first particles, then the first atoms, hydrogen and helium, mostly scattered through the cosmic dark, like seeds waiting for the right conditions to grow. Gravity slowly gathered these atoms into the first stars, and when those ancient giants died, they scattered heavier elements throughout space: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, the building blocks of complexity. Over billions of years, these elements found their way into new solar systems, into rocky planets, into the warm, shallow seas where chemistry became biochemistry, where molecules learned to copy themselves, where the first stirrings of life began, and through countless generations of evolution, guided by nothing more than variation and selection, life grew more complex, developing senses, nervous systems, brains capable of processing information about the world. And now, here you are, a temporary arrangement of atoms that were forged in stellar cores, arranged in such a way that you can contemplate the very process that created you. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, each one connected to thousands of others, creating a network of staggering complexity, a biological computer more sophisticated than anything humans have ever built. But the true marvel isn't just that your brain exists, it's what it's capable of doing through the firing of electrical impulses across synapses, through the dance of neurotransmitters, and the flow of information through neural networks. You can experience consciousness, that mysterious phenomenon that transforms mere information processing into subjective experience. What exactly is consciousness? Well, that remains one of the deepest mysteries in science. We know it emerges from the activity of the brain, but we don't fully understand how electrical and chemical signals give rise to the felt experience of being you, the redness of red, the sound of music, the feeling of love or wonder. These qualia, as philosophers call them, seem to transcend mere physical processes, yet they clearly depend on them. Some scientists propose that consciousness arises from integrated information, that it emerges when different parts of the brain communicate and coordinate their activities in complex ways. Others suggest that consciousness might be a fundamental feature of the universe, like mass or charge present at some level in all matter, but only reaching the complexity we experience in sufficiently sophisticated systems. The hard problem of consciousness, as philosopher David Chalmers calls it, is explaining why there's something it's like to be you, why your brain's information processing is accompanied by inner experience rather than proceeding in darkness. Like a computer, This question touches on some of the deepest issues in philosophy of mind, the relationship between the physical and the mental, between matter and experience. Yet, even without solving this mystery, we can marvel at what consciousness allows you to do through the activity of your brain. You can imagine scenarios that have never existed, contemplate abstract mathematical truths, feel empathy for beings you've never met, create art that moves others to tears. You can even turn your attention inward and observe the very process of consciousness itself. Your ability to understand the universe represents something truly extraordinary. Think about it. For the first 13 billion years or so, the cosmos was unconscious matter and energy following physical laws, but creating no inner experience. Then, through the process of evolution, the universe developed eyes to see itself, brains to understand itself, consciousness to appreciate its own beauty. You are quite literally the universe becoming aware of itself. When you look up at the night sky and feel wonder, you are a part of the cosmos contemplating its own magnificence. When you study the elegant equations of physics, you are the universe discovering the mathematical laws that govern its own behavior. When you feel moved by the beauty of a sunset, you are matter that has learned to appreciate its own temporary arrangements. This perspective can fundamentally change how you see yourself and your place in the cosmic story. You're not separate from the universe, observing it from the outside. You are the universe observing itself from the inside. Your thoughts and experiences are as much a part of the natural world as stars and galaxies, rivers and mountains. They represent the emergence of something genuinely new in cosmic history, the capacity for subjective experience. There's something profoundly moving about this realization that consciousness represents the universe's way of knowing itself through your awareness. The cosmos experiences wonder, curiosity, love, fear, hope, all the rich tapestry of human emotion. Through your scientific understanding, the universe comprehends its own laws, its own history, its own future possibilities, and you're not alone in this cosmic awakening across the planet. Billions of other conscious beings are having their own experiences, adding their own perspectives to the universe's self understanding. Each human mind represents a unique viewpoint on reality, a singular way of experiencing and interpreting the world. Every culture, every individual contributes something distinct to the cosmic conversation. This multiplicity of consciousness might be one of the most beautiful aspects of our cosmic story. The universe doesn't experience itself through just one perspective, but through countless different viewpoints, each one adding richness and depth to the whole. Your particular way of seeing and understanding the world has never existed before and will never exist again. You are a unique window through which the cosmos observes itself. Even more remarkably, consciousness allows for something that seems almost magical: the ability to transcend the immediate present through memory. You can revisit past experiences through imagination. You can explore possible futures through empathy. You can experience something like what it's like to be someone else. Consciousness liberates you from being trapped in the here and now, allowing you to roam freely through time and possibility. Your dreams provide another window into the extraordinary nature of consciousness. Each night, as you sleep, your brain creates entire worlds populated with characters and scenarios that feel completely real while you're experiencing them in dreams. The normal rules of logic and physics often don't apply yet. The experience can be vivid and emotionally powerful. It's as if consciousness can create its own realities, independent of external input. The social dimensions of consciousness add yet another layer of beauty through language and culture. Human minds can share their inner experiences, creating collective knowledge and understanding that transcends any individual perspective. Science itself is an example of this collaborative consciousness, thousands of minds working together across centuries to understand the natural world. Art, literature, music, and poetry represent consciousness, reaching toward consciousness, trying to communicate the ineffable aspects of inner experience. When a piece of music moves you to tears, when a poem captures exactly how you felt but never been able to express, when a painting reveals beauty you hadn't noticed before, you're experiencing consciousness, connecting with consciousness across the boundaries of individual minds. Even the fact that you can appreciate beauty at all is remarkable from a purely evolutionary perspective. There's no obvious reason why humans should find sunsets beautiful or be moved by music or feel wonder. When contemplating the stars, these aesthetic experiences don't seem directly related to survival or reproduction, yet they're among the most meaningful aspects of human consciousness. Perhaps our capacity for beauty and wonder represents the universe developing its own aesthetic sense through conscious beings. Maybe when you feel awe while looking at a starry sky, you're experiencing the cosmos, appreciating its own magnificence through your awareness. When you find elegance in a mathematical equation, you might be the universe recognizing the beauty of its own underlying order. Consciousness also brings with it the remarkable capacity for self reflection. You can think about your own thinking, observe your own mental processes, question your own beliefs and assumptions. This recursive quality of consciousness, the mind observing itself, creates possibilities for growth, change, and transcendence that seem to have no clear limits. Through introspection, meditation, and careful self observation, humans have discovered that consciousness itself has layers and depths that can be explored. Your ordinary waking consciousness is just one mode of awareness. There are meditative states where the boundaries between self and world seem to dissolve, dream states where different rules apply, altered states where time and space feel fluid and elastic. These explorations of consciousness suggest that your everyday experience of being a separate self, observing an external world, might be just one way that awareness can organize itself. Perhaps consciousness is more fundamental and flexible than we usually imagine, with the capacity to experience reality in ways that transcend our normal categories of thought. The mystery of consciousness becomes even more intriguing when we consider its relationship to the physical universe. How does subjective experience arise from objective matter? How do electrical impulses in the brain become the felt sense of being you? These questions remain at the cutting edge of neuroscience, philosophy, and even physics. Some theorists propose that consciousness might be connected to quantum mechanical processes in the brain, that the strange properties of quantum mechanics, like superposition and entanglement, might play a role in generating subjective experience. Others suggest that consciousness might be related to the way information is integrated and processed in complex systems. While these ideas remain speculative, They point toward the possibility that consciousness might be more deeply woven into the fabric of reality than we currently understand. Perhaps the capacity for experience isn't something that emerges only in biological brains, but represents a fundamental feature of the universe that becomes apparent only under certain conditions. As we contemplate the nature of consciousness and its place in the cosmic story, there's something deeply humbling about recognizing how much we still don't know, despite all our scientific advances, despite all our philosophical reflection. The relationship between mind and matter, between subjective experience and objective reality, remains profoundly mysterious. Yet this mystery itself is part of the beauty of consciousness. Your ability to wonder about your own awareness, to question the nature of your own experience, represents something genuinely remarkable in the known universe. You are matter that has become curious about itself, energy that has learned to contemplate its own existence. And in this moment, right now, as you listen to these words and reflect on the nature of consciousness, you're participating in one of the most extraordinary phenomena in the cosmos. You're experiencing the universe, becoming aware of itself through your particular unique perspective, adding your own thread to the vast tapestry of cosmic self understanding. There's something infinitely precious about this realization that your consciousness, your particular way of experiencing and understanding the world, represents a genuinely new development in the history of the universe through your awareness. Something enters existence that has never been before and will never be again. You are the cosmos expressing itself in a form that has never existed and never will exist again. As we near the end of our gentle journey through these whispers of scientific beauty, let's pause to consider something that brings all these threads together: the profound interconnectedness that weaves through every level of reality, from the smallest quantum particles to the largest cosmic structures, from the molecular machinery of life to the emergence of consciousness. This interconnectedness isn't just a poetic metaphor, it's woven into the very fabric of existence. At the quantum level, particles can become entangled, sharing properties instantaneously across vast distances, as if space itself were just an illusion. At the atomic level, the elements that make up your body were literally forged inside stars, connecting you intimately to the cosmic cycles of stellar birth and death. At the molecular level, the same basic chemistry operates in every living thing on Earth, creating a biological kinship that extends from the smallest bacteria to the largest whales. You share more than 99% of your DNA with every other human being and significant portions with all other life forms on the planet. The code of life is truly universal at the planetary level. You're embedded in the same cycles of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and water that have sustained life for billions of years. Every breath you take has been breathed by countless other beings. Every drop of water in your body has fallen, as rain flowed in rivers and evaporated from oceans, in an endless cycle of renewal. At the cosmic level, you're made of the same elements that compose distant stars and galaxies. The forces that govern the motion of planets also govern the behavior of atoms in your body. The same physical laws that describe the expansion of the universe also describe the electrical impulses in your nervous system. This interconnectedness extends through time as well as space. Your existence depends on an unbroken chain of events stretching back to the Big Bang itself, Every ancestor who survived long enough to reproduce every evolutionary innovation that increased the complexity of life. Every cosmic event that created the conditions for planets and chemistry. All of these threads wove together to make your existence possible, and your consciousness represents perhaps the most remarkable expression of this cosmic interconnectedness through your awareness. You're connected not just physically, but experientially to the universe around you. When you feel wonder at a beautiful sunset, you're participating in the cosmos, appreciating its own beauty. When you feel love for another person, you're experiencing the universe caring for itself. There's something deeply comforting about recognizing these connections. They suggest that despite the apparent isolation and separation we sometimes feel, we're actually intimately woven into the fabric of existence itself. You're not a stranger in the universe. You're a native expression of its deepest properties and potentials. As you drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps you'll carry with you some sense of this profound interconnectedness, the knowledge that you're part of something infinitely larger and more beautiful than any single life, yet also aware that your particular perspective, your unique way of experiencing and understanding the world, adds something irreplaceable to the cosmic story. The whispers of science we've explored tonight, the elegant mathematics of string theory, the golden spirals of growth, the stellar alchemy that forged your atoms, the molecular poetry of life, the delicate balance of our planet, the miracle of consciousness. All of these point toward the same profound truth that reality is far more beautiful, intricate, and meaningful than it might appear on the surface. And perhaps that's the most beautiful scientific truth of all, that the deeper we look into the nature of reality, the more wonder and beauty we find, not less. The universe doesn't become cold and mechanical when we understand it. Scientifically, it becomes more magnificent, more awe inspiring, more worthy of our wonder and gratitude. So sleep well tonight, knowing that you're cradled in a cosmos of extraordinary beauty and complexity, where every atom in your body carries the memory of ancient stars, where every breath connects you to all other life, where every moment of consciousness represents the universe, knowing and appreciating itself. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler in this magnificent cosmic story. May your rest be peaceful and your dreams filled with the quiet wonder of existence itself. Let's drift now from the grand interconnectedness of all things to something equally profound, yet intimately personal. The extraordinary journey of a single thought as it travels through your mind right now, as these words reach your ears. They're not simply bouncing off your eardrums like sounds against a wall. Instead, they're triggering one of the most remarkable processes in the known universe, the transformations of vibrations in air into meaning, understanding, and perhaps even wonder. Imagine, if you will, the path these words take from the moment they leave the speaker to the moment they become part of your inner experience. First, sound waves ripple through the air, tiny compressions and rarefactions that carry the encoded patterns of language. These waves enter your ear, where they encounter the delicate machinery of hearing, a system so sensitive it can detect movements smaller than the width of an atom. Your eardrum vibrates in sympathy with these sound waves, passing the motion along to three tiny bones, the hammer, anvil, and stirrup, which amplify the signal and transmit it to the cochlea, that spiral-shaped organ filled with fluid and lined with thousands of hair cells. each one tuned to respond to specific frequencies, like strings on a cosmic piano. When these hair cells bend in response to the sound waves, they generate electrical signals that travel along the auditory nerve toward your brain. But this is where the real magic begins, because somewhere in the intricate network of your neural pathways, these electrical impulses become something far more extraordinary than mere information processing. They become conscious experience. Your brain doesn't just decode the sounds, it interprets them as words, recognizes their meanings, connects them to memories and emotions, creates images and associations, transforms abstract concepts into felt understanding. This process happens so seamlessly, so effortlessly, that we rarely pause to consider how miraculous it truly is. But let's pause now and marvel at what's occurring. As you listen to these very words, billions of neurons are firing in coordinated patterns. Neurotransmitters are crossing synapses. Electrical cascades are rippling through different regions of your brain. And somehow, from all this biological activity, emerges something that transcends mere chemistry and physics. The experience of understanding the feeling of wonder, the sense of connection to ideas and possibilities. When I speak of quantum fields vibrating in hidden dimensions, your brain doesn't just process those words as abstract symbols. Instead, it somehow creates an inner sense of what such dimensions might be like. Perhaps you visualize them as folded origami spaces. Perhaps you feel a sense of mystery or mathematical beauty. Perhaps you experience that particular kind of cognitive pleasure that comes from contemplating ideas at the edge of human understanding. This transformation of sound into meaning into experience represents one of the most profound mysteries in science. How does the brain create the rich inner world of consciousness from the simple currency of electrical and chemical signals? How do neural firing patterns become the felt experience of beauty, wonder love, or understanding? Consider what happens when you encounter a new idea that resonates deeply with you, perhaps something about the nature of time or the poetry of molecular biology. Suddenly there's a moment of recognition, a sense of pieces clicking into place, connections forming between previously separate concepts. This aha moment involves physical changes in your brain, new neural pathways being strengthened, existing ones being modified, the very structure of your mind being subtly rewired by the encounter with new understanding. And these changes don't remain isolated in some abstract cognitive realm. They ripple outward, influencing your emotions, your motivations, your sense of meaning and purpose. A beautiful scientific idea doesn't just occupy space in your memory, it becomes part of who you are, shaping how you see the world, how you relate to existence itself. There's something deeply moving about realizing that right now, as you listen to these words, your brain is actively constructing your experience of reality. It's not simply receiving information like a passive recording device instead. It's interpreting, organizing, creating meaning from the constant stream of sensory input. Your consciousness is an active creative process, a continuous construction of experience, moment by moment. Your memory, too, is far more creative and dynamic than we once believed. Each time you recall a past experience, you're not simply retrieving a stored file. Instead, you're reconstructing that memory from scattered neural traces, weaving together fragments of sensory detail, emotion, and meaning into a coherent narrative. And each time you do this, the memory itself changes, slightly influenced by your current state of mind. your more recent experiences, your evolving understanding of the world. This means that your personal history isn't a fixed record, but a living document, continuously being rewritten by the very act of remembering your memories of childhood, of meaningful relationships, of moments of discovery and insight. All of these are being subtly transformed each time you revisit them, shaped by who you are becoming, rather than simply preserving who you once were. Language itself plays a fascinating role in this process of consciousness. The words you're hearing right now aren't just labels for pre existing thoughts. Instead, they're tools that help shape and structure your thinking itself. Different languages can carve up reality in different ways, creating different possibilities for thought and experience. The Inuit people have dozens of words for different types of snow, not because they see snow differently, but because their language allows them to think about snow in more nuanced ways. When you learn a new concept, a new way of describing or categorizing experience, you're not just adding information to your mental database, you're expanding the very possibilities of your consciousness, creating new ways of experiencing and understanding reality. This is why exposure to beautiful ideas, whether scientific, artistic, or philosophical, can be so transformative. It literally expands the range of what you can think and feel. Your emotions, too, are far more sophisticated than simple reactions to external events. They're complex constructions that involve memory prediction, social context, and meaning making. When you feel moved by a piece of music or a scientific insight, that emotion isn't just happening to you, you're actively creating it through the way your brain interprets and contextualizes the experience. Consider what happens when you feel awe. That sense of being overwhelmed by beauty or grandeur or mystery. Research suggests that awe involves a temporary dissolution of your normal sense of self, a moment when the boundaries between you and the world seem to blur. This isn't just a pleasant feeling, it's a fundamental shift in consciousness that can have lasting effects on your well being, your sense of meaning, and your connection to something larger than yourself. The capacity for awe might be one of the most remarkable features of human consciousness. It suggests that we're built not just to survive and reproduce, but to appreciate beauty and meaning, to be moved by ideas and experiences that have no direct practical value. When you feel wonder at the elegance of a mathematical proof or the beauty of a sunset, you're experiencing something that seems to transcend mere biological utility. This brings us to one of the most intriguing questions about consciousness. Why did that evolution produce beings capable of appreciating beauty, truth, and meaning in ways that seem to go far beyond immediate survival needs? Why do humans create art, write poetry, contemplate the nature of existence itself? Perhaps our aesthetic and intellectual capacities are byproducts of other useful traits. Perhaps the same cognitive abilities that help us solve practical problems also allow us to appreciate abstract beauty. Or perhaps there's something deeper at work. Maybe the capacity for wonder and meaning making is itself adaptive, helping us navigate a complex world by finding patterns, significance, and value in our experiences. Whatever the evolutionary explanation, the result is extraordinary. You possess a form of consciousness that can transcend the immediate demands of survival and reproduction to contemplate questions of ultimate meaning and value. You can be moved by ideas that have no practical application, inspired by beauty that serves no utilitarian purpose, motivated by values that extend far beyond your own immediate interests. Your moral sense, too, represents a remarkable development in the evolution of consciousness. You don't just respond to rewards and punishments like a simple learning machine. Instead, you have an inner sense of right and wrong that can motivate you to act against your own immediate interests for the sake of others, or for abstract principles like justice or truth. This moral dimension of consciousness connects you to other minds in profound ways. Through empathy, you can imagine what it's like to be someone else and feel motivated to reduce their suffering or increase their well being through moral reasoning. You can consider the broader consequences of actions and choose to act in ways that serve the greater good, even when it costs you personally. Language allows these moral insights to be shared and refined across generations, creating cumulative moral wisdom that transcends any individual perspective. The golden rule, treat others as you would like to be treated, appears in various forms across cultures and throughout history, suggesting that there might be universal moral truths that conscious minds naturally discover. Your capacity for self reflection adds another layer of depth to the mystery of consciousness. You can observe your own mental processes, question your own beliefs and assumptions, choose to change your own patterns of thought and behavior. This recursive quality, the mind observing itself, creates possibilities for growth and transformation that seem to have no clear limits. Through practices like meditation, mindfulness, and introspective inquiry, humans have discovered that consciousness itself has depths and qualities that can be explored. Your ordinary waking awareness is just one mode of consciousness. There are contemplative states where the boundaries between self and world dissolve, creative states where new ideas and insights emerge, spontaneously flow, states where action and awareness merge into effortless performance. These explorations of consciousness suggest that your everyday sense of being a separate self, observing an external world, might be just one way that awareness can organize itself. Perhaps consciousness is more fundamental and flexible than we usually imagine, with possibilities for experience that we're only beginning to discover. The relationship between consciousness and creativity provides another window into the mystery of mind. When you have a creative insight, when a new idea suddenly appears in your awareness, where does it come from? The process of creativity seems to involve a kind of receptivity, an openness to possibilities that emerge from beyond the reach of deliberate control. Many artists and scientists report that their best ideas come not through effortful thinking, but through a kind of relaxed attention that allows new connections and possibilities to emerge. This suggests that consciousness might be more than just a problem solving tool. It might be a creative force in its own right, capable of generating genuinely new possibilities. Your dreams offer another glimpse into the creative depths of consciousness. Each night, your brain constructs entire worlds populated with characters and scenarios that can be vivid, emotionally powerful, and sometimes profoundly meaningful. The fact that consciousness can create these alternate realities suggests that the boundary between imagination and perception might be more fluid than we usually assume. Even your sense of time reveals the constructed nature of consciousness. You don't just passively experience time passing. Instead, Your brain actively creates your sense of temporal flow. Memories of the past, expectations of the future, attention to the present moment all contribute to your experience of existing in time. In meditative states, this constructed quality of time becomes apparent. Moments can seem to stretch into eternity, or hours can pass in what feels like minutes. This suggests that your normal experience of time is just one possible way that consciousness can organize temporal experience. The social dimensions of consciousness add yet another layer of complexity through language culture and shared meaning. Human minds can connect in ways that create collective intelligence, and understanding science itself is an example of this collaborative consciousness. Thousands of minds working together across centuries to understand the natural world. When you read a scientific paper or listen to an explanation of a complex theory, you're not just learning facts, you're participating in a vast conversation that extends across time and space, connecting your individual consciousness to the collective human effort to understand reality. Your understanding becomes part of that larger understanding, contributing to the ongoing human quest for knowledge. Art, literature, music, and poetry represent consciousness, reaching toward consciousness, trying to communicate the ineffable aspects of inner experience. When a piece of music moves you, when a poem captures exactly how you felt, but never been able to express, when a painting reveals beauty you hadn't noticed before, you're experiencing consciousness, connecting with consciousness across the boundaries of individual minds. Love itself might be consciousness, recognizing itself in another. When you feel deep connection with another person, you're experiencing something that seems to transcend the boundaries of individual awareness. There's a sense of shared being of consciousness, extending beyond the confines of a single mind. The mystery deepens when we consider that consciousness might not be limited to biological brains. As artificial intelligence becomes more sophisticated, we're beginning to encounter the possibility that consciousness might emerge in silicon and circuits, as well as carbon and neurons. This raises profound questions about the nature of mind and its relationship to matter. If consciousness can emerge from artificial substrates, then perhaps it's a more fundamental feature of reality than we currently understand. Maybe the capacity for experience isn't something that emerges only in biological systems, but represents a basic property of information processing itself. These questions remain at the cutting edge of neuroscience philosophy and artificial intelligence research. We're still far from understanding how subjective experience arises from objective processes. But the very fact that we can ask these questions, that we can wonder about the nature of our own awareness, represents something genuinely remarkable as you contemplate these mysteries of consciousness. Remember that you're not just thinking about consciousness. You are consciousness, you're experiencing the universe, becoming aware of itself through your particular unique perspective. Every thought, every feeling, every moment of awareness represents something genuinely new in cosmic history. Your consciousness is both utterly personal, your unique way of experiencing reality, an utterly universal part of the same fundamental mystery that connects all aware beings. Perhaps consciousness is the universe's way of experiencing itself from the inside of knowing itself, not just as an external object of study, but as lived experience. There's something infinitely precious about this realization that your awareness, Your particular way of experiencing and understanding represents a genuinely new development in the history of the universe through your consciousness. Something enters existence that has never been before and will never be again. You are the cosmos expressing itself in a form that is utterly unique. And in this very moment, as you listen to these words and contemplate the nature of your own awareness, you're participating in one of the most extraordinary phenomena in the known universe. You're experiencing consciousness, contemplating itself, the mind observing its own mysterious nature as our gentle journey through these whispers of science draws toward its close. Let's take a moment to appreciate something that might be the most beautiful truth of all, that the act of understanding itself is a form of love. When you truly comprehend something, whether it's the elegant dance of subatomic particles or the vast cycles that regulate our planet's climate, you're entering into an intimate relationship with reality itself. This understanding isn't cold or distant, it's warm and personal, a way of embracing the world with your mind and heart together. When Einstein spent years contemplating the nature of space and time, he wasn't just solving abstract puzzles, he was falling in love with the deep structure of reality when Darwin observed the intricate relationships between species. He was discovering not just biological facts, but the poetry of life itself. Every moment of genuine understanding is an act of love consciousness, recognizing and appreciating the beauty and complexity of existence. The fact that matter has organized itself in such a way that part of the universe can contemplate and appreciate the rest represents perhaps the most extraordinary development in cosmic history. You carry within yourself this capacity for loving, understanding this ability to reach out with your mind and embrace ideas that illuminate the nature of reality. When you feel moved by a beautiful scientific theory, when you experience wonder at the elegance of natural processes, when you find meaning in the connections that link all things, you're participating in the universe's love affair with itself. This loving quality of understanding extends beyond scientific knowledge to encompass all the ways that consciousness can appreciate and connect with reality through art and music, through relationships and community, through contemplation and reflection, through acts of kindness and service. All of these represent different expressions of the same fundamental capacity for loving awareness. As you drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps you'll carry with you the sense of participating in something infinitely beautiful and meaningful, the knowledge that your consciousness, your capacity for understanding and appreciation, represents the universe coming to know and love itself through your particular unique perspective. The whispers of science we've explored together tonight all point toward the same profound recognition that reality is far more beautiful, mysterious, and meaningful than it might appear on the surface. The deeper we look into the nature of existence, the more reasons we find for wonder, gratitude, and love. Sleep well, knowing that you are both utterly unique and completely connected part of an unfolding cosmic story that has been billions of years in the making and is still being written with every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of awareness you carry within yourself, the memory of stars, the wisdom of evolution, and the miracle of consciousness itself. May your dreams be filled with the quiet wonder of existence, and may you wake tomorrow with renewed appreciation for the extraordinary privilege of being aware in such a magnificent universe. Good night, fellow traveler, in this cosmic dance of matter and mind energy and consciousness until tomorrow. Dear friend, when we'll gather once more to explore the gentle mysteries that surround us. But before we part, there's one final whisper I'd like to share with you, perhaps the most beautiful of all the recognition that every question leads to deeper questions. Every answer opens new doors of wonder, and that this endless journey of discovery is itself the greatest gift consciousness can offer. Think about it for a moment. Every great scientific breakthrough, from the discovery of DNA's double helix to the detection of gravitational waves, has revealed not just answers, but whole new realms of mystery. Each solved puzzle unveils 10 more, waiting to be explored like a cosmic treasure hunt that becomes more rewarding the deeper we venture. This is why science never truly ends, why there will always be new whispers of beauty waiting to be heard. The universe seems designed for eternal discovery, structured in such a way that conscious beings like us can spend lifetimes, centuries, millennia peeling back layers of mystery, and still find ourselves standing at the shore of an infinite ocean of unknown wonders. Your own curiosity is part of this grand tradition when you wonder about the nature of time, or feel amazed by the complexity of a living cell, or find yourself staring up at the stars with questions you can't quite articulate. You're participating in the same spirit of inquiry that has driven human understanding forward for thousands of years. And here's something truly remarkable about this journey of discovery. It's not a solitary endeavor. Every insight, every breakthrough, every moment of understanding becomes part of humanity's collective wisdom, shared across cultures and generations through the beautiful medium of language and learning. When you understand something deeply, when a scientific concept clicks into place and fills you with wonder, you become a temporary custodian of that knowledge, capable of passing it on to others through your own unique perspective and voice. This is how understanding grows and spreads like ripples in a pond. Each mind that grasps a beautiful truth becomes a source of illumination for others. There's something profoundly hopeful about this continuous expansion of knowledge and wonder. It suggests that no matter what challenges we face as individuals or as a species, we're part of a larger story of growth and discovery that transcends any single lifetime. Your moments of curiosity and understanding contribute to this ongoing narrative, even if you never publish a paper or make a formal discovery. The questions you ask in quiet moments, the connections you make between different ideas, the sense of awe you feel when contemplating the natural world. All of these are threads in the vast tapestry of human understanding. They matter not just to you, but to the larger project of consciousness coming to know itself. And perhaps, most beautifully, this journey of discovery is available to everyone, regardless of formal education or professional credentials. The universe doesn't require advanced degrees to reveal its wonders. A child watching ants march in formation is engaging in the same fundamental act of scientific observation as a researcher studying complex ecosystems. Wonder is democratic, available to anyone willing to look closely, to ask questions, to remain open to the possibility that reality is more interesting than it first appears. This is why we gather in this quiet corner of the internet to share these whispers of science, because beautiful ideas become more beautiful when they're shared, when they're contemplated together in the spirit of mutual discovery. As you settle into sleep tonight, you might find your dreams populated with dancing strings and spiral galaxies, with molecules folding into perfect shapes and neurons firing in patterns of exquisite complexity. These aren't just abstract concepts, but invitations to wander doorways into deeper appreciation of the magnificent reality you inhabit. And when you wake tomorrow, you'll still be part of this extraordinary cosmic story, still made of recycled starlight, still carrying within your cells the molecular machinery that took billions of years to perfect, still blessed with the capacity to experience wonder, love, understanding, and connection. The universe will still be expanding around you. Stars will still be forging new elements in their nuclear hearts. Life will still be evolving and adapting in countless creative ways, and consciousness will still be emerging in new forms, exploring new possibilities, discovering new reasons for amazement. Your particular perspective on all of this will remain utterly unique. Your way of experiencing and understanding the world will continue to add something irreplaceable to the cosmic conversation, even if you're not always aware of it. You're contributing to the universe's ongoing project of self discovery. So rest well tonight, knowing that you're part of something infinitely larger than yourself, yet also knowing that your individual consciousness, your capacity for wonder and understanding is precious beyond measure. You are both a tiny speck in a vast cosmos and the center of your own experiential universe, both utterly connected to everything else and irreplaceably unique. The whispers of science we've shared tonight, the stories of quantum fields and golden spirals of stellar alchemy, and molecular poetry of planetary balance and cosmic consciousness. All of these will continue their eternal dance, whether or not anyone is there to observe them, but how much more beautiful they become when witnessed by aware beings like yourself. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities for wonder, new questions to ponder, new connections to discover the great conversation between consciousness and cosmos will continue, and you'll be part of it. Whether you're reading about the latest scientific discoveries or simply noticing the way morning light filters through leaves every moment offers its own invitation to amazement, its own whisper of scientific beauty waiting to be heard. The trick is simply to remain open, to listen with the ears of curiosity, to look with the eyes of wonder, to approach the world with the loving attention that transforms mere observation into genuine understanding. And with that gentle thought, let's allow tonight's journey to draw to its natural close, like a piece of music that resolves into peaceful silence. You've been wonderful company on this exploration of cosmic beauty, and I hope these whispers have brought you some measure of peace, wonder, or simple joy. If you've enjoyed this quiet voyage through the mysteries of existence, I'd be deeply grateful if you shared it with someone else who might appreciate these gentle encounters with scientific wonder. There are others out there searching for this kind of contemplative approach to learning, people who find comfort in knowledge and beauty in understanding. Until we meet again in another whisper of science, keep your sense of wonder alive. Keep asking questions that have no easy answers. Keep finding beauty in the ordinary miracles that surround you every day. You are living proof that the universe can know and appreciate itself. And that, dear friend, is perhaps the most beautiful scientific truth of all. Sleep peacefully knowing you're cradled in a cosmos of extraordinary elegance, where every breath connects you to the cycles of life, where every heartbeat echoes the rhythms that have sustained existence for billions of years, where every moment of awareness represents the universe celebrating its own magnificent complexity. Sweet dreams, fellow wanderer in this garden of cosmic wonders. May your rest be deep, your dreams filled with gentle mysteries, and may you wake tomorrow with renewed appreciation for the privilege of consciousness in such a beautiful and endlessly fascinating universe. Good night, and thank you for sharing this journey through the whispers of science, where curiosity finds its home and wonder never sleeps. And so here we are, gently arriving at the end of our peaceful voyage through the whispers of science, having wandered together through realms both infinitesimally small and cosmically vast. We've traced the elegant mathematics that spiral through sunflower seeds and nautilus shells, marveled at the stellar furnaces that forge the very atoms of our being, and contemplated the profound mystery of consciousness emerging from the dance of neurons and synapses. Tonight we've discovered that science isn't merely a collection of facts and formulas, but rather a love song between mind and reality, a gentle conversation between curiosity and cosmos. Each theory we've explored, each whisper we've heard, reveals the universe to be not cold and mechanical, but warm with meaning, rich with connection, and more beautiful than any single imagination could conjure. As you've listened to these stories tonight, perhaps you've felt that quiet stirring that comes when something true and beautiful touches the mind. That sense of recognition, of coming home to ideas that feel both completely new and somehow familiar, as if you were remembering rather than learning for the first time. This is the gift that science offers to the wondering heart, the recognition that we are not strangers in this universe, but native expressions of its deepest creativity. The golden ratio spiraling through your very form, the stellar elements flowing through your veins, the quantum fields humming their invisible songs beneath the surface of everything you touch. These aren't abstract concepts, but intimate realities. You are living proof that matter can dream, that atoms can love, that the universe has found a way to know itself through the miracle of awareness. There's something profoundly comforting in this recognition that the boundary between you and the cosmos is far more permeable than it might seem. When you breathe, you participate in the ancient cycle that connects you to every plant that has ever lived. When you look up at the stars, you're gazing at distant suns with eyes made from their recycled light. When you feel wonder at the elegance of a mathematical truth, you're experiencing the universe appreciating its own hidden order. This interconnectedness extends through time as well as space. The story of your existence reaches back to the very beginning of time itself, through the first moments of cosmic expansion, through the birth and death of countless stellar generations, through the patient work of evolution, refining the chemistry of life across billions of years. You are the universe's way of remembering its own history, of celebrating how far it has come, and the story continues to unfold. Even as you rest tonight, stars are being born in distant nebulae. New elements are being forged in stellar cores. Life is finding new ways to flourish and adapt on our own planet and perhaps on countless others scattered throughout the galaxy. The great conversation between matter and mind, between energy and awareness, continues its eternal dance. Your own consciousness, adds something irreplaceable to this cosmic symphony. No one else will ever see the world quite the way you do, will make quite the same connections, will find beauty in quite the same places. You are a unique perspective through which the universe experiences itself, a singular voice in the choir of awareness that spans our planet and perhaps reaches far beyond it. This uniqueness makes every moment of genuine understanding precious. When a scientific idea clicks into place, when you feel that rush of recognition that comes with true comprehension, you're not just learning something new, you're participating in the universe's ongoing project of self discovery. You become a temporary custodian of wonder, capable of sharing that insight with others through your own particular way of seeing and understanding. Tomorrow, when you wake, you'll still be part of this magnificent story. The molecules in your morning coffee will still be following the same physical laws that govern distant galaxies. The light streaming through your window will still carry information about fusion reactions occurring 93 million miles away. The very act of waking, of consciousness emerging from sleep, will still be one of the most mysterious and beautiful phenomena in the known universe. Perhaps you'll notice these everyday miracles with fresh eyes, finding wonder in the ordinary magic that surrounds us constantly. The way water forms perfect spherical drops, following principles of surface tension that connect to the deepest mathematics of space and time. The way birds navigate using magnetic fields, tapping into the same forces that protect our planet from cosmic radiation. The way your own heart beats in rhythms that echo throughout the natural world, from the pulsing of distant stars to the oscillations of quantum fields. This capacity for wonder is itself one of the most remarkable features of consciousness. There's no obvious evolutionary reason why humans should find beauty in mathematical equations or feel moved by the sight of distant galaxies. Yet these aesthetic experiences are among the most meaningful aspects of human existence. Perhaps our ability to appreciate beauty represents the universe developing its own sense of aesthetics through conscious beings, learning to recognize and celebrate its own magnificence. The questions we've explored tonight, the mysteries we've contemplated, are part of an ancient human tradition of seeking understanding and meaning in the natural world. From the first humans who looked up at the night sky and wondered about the lights they saw there, to modern scientists probing the deepest structures of reality, we've been engaged in the same fundamental quest to understand our place in the cosmic story. And what a story it is! From quantum uncertainty to cosmic expansion, from molecular self assembly to the emergence of life, from stellar nucleosynthesis to the dawn of consciousness, reality reveals itself to be far stranger, more beautiful, and more meaningful than our ancestors could have imagined. Yet their sense of wonder, their desire to understand and connect, lives on in every question we ask, every theory we contemplate, every moment of scientific insight. This continuity across generations reminds us that we're part of something larger than any individual life. The knowledge we gain, the understanding we develop, the wonder we feel becomes part of humanity's collective wisdom, passed down through the beautiful medium of language and learning. In sharing these ideas tonight, we've participated in that ancient tradition of storytelling, of passing wisdom from one mind to another across the invisible bridge of consciousness. As you drift toward sleep, Perhaps you'll carry with you some sense of your place in this vast and continuing story. You are both utterly unique and completely connected, both a tiny part of an immense cosmos and the center of your own experiential universe. You are matter that has learned to contemplate itself, energy that has developed the capacity for wonder, complexity that has discovered beauty in its own intricate patterns. The universe has been preparing for your existence for nearly 14 billion years, creating the elements, refining the chemistry, developing the processes that would eventually give rise to planets, life, and consciousness. Every star that lived and died, every cosmic collision that scattered heavy elements through space, every evolutionary innovation that increased the complexity of life, all of these were necessary steps in the chain of events that led to your ability to contemplate these very ideas. This perspective can bring a profound sense of belonging and purpose. You're not an accident in an indifferent universe, but a natural expression of its deepest creative potentials. Your capacity for wonder, understanding, and love represents the cosmos celebrating its own magnificent complexity through the miracle of awareness. And perhaps that's the most beautiful whisper of all, the recognition that consciousness itself might be the universe's greatest achievement. Through your awareness, the cosmos can experience wonder at its own beauty, curiosity about its own nature, love for its own creative expressions. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself, matter awakening to its own extraordinary possibilities. So rest well tonight, dear friend, knowing that you are part of something infinitely beautiful and endlessly mysterious. The same forces that guide the dance of galaxies flow through your dreams. The same principles that govern the folding of proteins shape the thoughts drifting through your sleeping mind. You are cradled in a cosmos that is both your origin and your home, both the source of your wonder and its ultimate object. May your dreams be filled with golden spirals and dancing atoms, with stellar nurseries and quantum possibilities, with all the gentle mysteries we've explored together. And may you wake tomorrow with renewed appreciation for the extraordinary privilege of being a conscious being in such a magnificent universe. And with those gentle thoughts, dear traveler, let us bring our quiet journey to its natural close. Like a melody that finds its way home to silence, like starlight that softens into dawn, we've wandered together through the most beautiful secrets that reality has whispered to those who listen closely. Tonight, we've discovered that the universe speaks in many languages, from the mathematical poetry of growth patterns to the chemical conversations happening within every living cell. We've seen how the same elegant principles that guide the formation of galaxies also shape the curve of a shell, how the forces that bind atomic nuclei together also connect us to every star in the night sky. Perhaps most remarkably, we've glimpsed how consciousness itself might be the universe's way of experiencing wonder, of falling in love with its own extraordinary creativity. Through your awareness, through your capacity to feel moved by these ideas, the cosmos celebrates its own magnificent complexity. As you settle into rest tonight, remember that you carry within yourself the memory of ancient starlight, the wisdom of billions of years of evolution, and the miracle of matter that has learned to contemplate its own existence. You are both utterly unique and completely universal, a singular perspective through which the universe knows itself. If these gentle whispers have brought you peace, wonder, or simply a moment of quiet joy, I hope you'll share them with others who might find comfort in the marriage of science and serenity. There are fellow travelers out there seeking the same sense of connection to the cosmic story we all share. Until we meet again in another whisper of science, keep your sense of wonder alive. Keep finding beauty in the ordinary miracles that surround you. And remember that you are living proof that the universe can dream. And now, as these final whispers of science settle gently into the quiet spaces of your mind, there's one last thread I'd like to weave into our tapestry of wonder: the recognition that you, in this very moment, are participating in perhaps the most extraordinary experiment the universe has ever conducted, an ongoing exploration of what it means for matter to become aware of itself. Every scientific theory we've encountered tonight, every elegant equation and graceful spiral, exists not in some abstract realm, but here, now, in the warm reality of your understanding. When you grasp the beauty of the golden ratio, you become part of its expression. When you marvel at stellar nucleosynthesis, you embody its ancient legacy. You are not merely learning about the universe, you are the universe learning about itself through the gentle miracle of consciousness. This is perhaps the most beautiful secret of all, that science is not something we do to the world, but something the world does through us. Each moment of wonder, each flash of understanding, each quiet appreciation of natural beauty represents the cosmos celebrating its own magnificent creativity through the temporary arrangement of atoms we call you. And so, as you drift into sleep tonight, know that you carry with you not just knowledge but kinship, not just facts but fellowship with every dancing particle, every distant star, every living thing that shares this ancient dance of existence. You are the universe's way of tucking itself in at night, of whispering bedtime stories to itself about quantum fields and golden spirals, about the poetry written in the language of mathematics, and the love songs hummed by vibrating strings. Sleep peacefully, dear friend, knowing that tomorrow the great conversation continues, and you will be there to listen, to wonder, and to add your own unique voice to the eternal dialogue between consciousness and cosmos. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler, and thank you for sharing this gentle journey through the whispers of science, where wonder never sleeps and beauty lives in every breath.